Oh, a bit of heaven here. It is 2 minutes after 6. It's Edge Radio Australia. And because it's Thursday and it's 6 o'clock, no, it's not all about late night shopping. No, it is all about getting your life in order with a bit of all about relationships. Wayne, mate, great to see you, bud.
Good to be back.
Good to be. Jeez, you had that moment of delay there. There was half a second where I thought, oh, he's building up the anticipation here. Mate, great to see you. Really, really good response from last week, let me tell you. So I think people are enjoying having a little bit of helping hand in the old, not really the boudoir, because it's not just the boudoir, let's face it. It's the whole relationship. And I even learned a few things. And I thought I was an expert in relationships because I've had heaps.
Yeah, it's a funny thing because that's one term that I've always struggled with is experts. When people say to me, are you the expert? It's like, yeah, it sounds like, I know everything.
Absolutely.
And I don't know everything. I've just figured out a few things.
Well, okay. Something we were talking about off air with your lovely wife, actually, about the show Maths. Now, if we watch Maths, we know how good those experts are. My word.
Oh, God.
Oh, that is a train wreck. But it's supposed to be, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's all about ratings. It's not really about love. And we are here about love. Yeah.
We are.
Yeah. So you're a man of preparation. You've done all sorts of things. Let's get into it. Well, first and foremost, when you're not on the radio, what are you doing with yourself promoting great relationships?
Well, I have my business Life Back on Track,
Yep.
which I use for getting people aligned with their authentic self because we get dragged off course. And then once people are authentic with themselves, they're aware of what they really want in their life, then we can work on their relationships, their parenting, their conflict resolution, whatever it is.
All the bits. Okay, fair enough. So what are we going to get into tonight? What's the first cab off the old rank?
Well, I was thinking about the show last week and I thought, wow, I really pounded them with all the therapeutic power struggle and, lots of bad news. So I thought we'd ease up a little bit.
Yep.
And what we'd do is we'd look at the things that make a relationship work.
Okay.
So the things to look for.
Yeah.
But also we'll look at the other side, the red flags, the things that you want to avoid. Because we touched on that with if you're out to dinner, you watch, them and how they deal with the wait staff.
Absolutely. Now, it's funny actually because years ago, I've never heard the term red flags when it came to relationships. And now I look back and I think I could have had, like traffic signals left, right and centre in my life. That would have been very handy. But now, I don't know, we talk about these things. We didn't, as I say, 20 odd years ago. So now we can look and go, yeah, it could be a bit of a narc. Could be self-involved. Could be, might have daddy issues, whatever. Right? Or mummy issues for everyone's got their issues. But this is a great way of bringing those to the fore and not just, because this is not about blame. This is about finding tools to get past it and make your life a better, a whole damn thing better, Beautiful language there. I have no idea what I was saying.
Nice. Your grasp of the language is just phenomenal. What, impeccable.
If I tripped over any more words there, right now I would have fallen down the stairs. But there you go.
If we were near the stairs. So there's a lot of studies and things about what makes a relationship work, and especially as we were talking about, we tend to find someone then try and make it work.
Yeah.
There's certain things you can look for. And one I want to talk about is, I can't think of his first name, but his last name's Gottman.
Right.
So what he did is he can now look at a recording of a couple interacting, and within 5 minutes he can say whether or not that relationship will work.
Whoa, okay.
Okay, so what he did is many years ago he started studying it and he invited these couples in and he would record them interacting. He'd say to them, just talk about your relationship. And then he'd record for 30, 40, 50 minutes.
Okay.
And then he would go through second by second, watching their faces, looking for micro gestures, change of volume, tone, all of that sort of thing.
Yep.
And then he would slowly build up this repertoire of things to look for.
Okay.
And what he found was sometimes you might have one person would talk to their partner and just for a microsecond, anger would flash across their face.
Okay.
And then it'd drop. But then the person that they're talking to wouldn't pick up on it because they're not looking for it, but he knew to look for it.
Of course. It makes a big difference.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's what I'm saying about the red flags. So there's big red flags, which are obvious, like wait staff, and then there's the smaller ones.
Okay.
So things like asking your partner how their day was
Sure.
is a standard thing.
Okay, yeah, you think so.
So I've met people who quite happily talk about their day, but they rarely ask you about yours.
Ooh.
And down the track you go, well, they didn't really care about me. And it's like, well, if you knew that red flag,
Yes, absolutely.
you would have been all right. So now all of us don't tend to be really good with micro gestures.
No.
So when we're looking at people, we don't tend to pick up on them.
Okay.
Now, women have the advantage over
Same
us
as women,
blokes.
I don't know.
know.
Jeez.
They have a lot more receptors for picking up micro gestures, which is why a bloke trying to lie to his wife doesn't tend to get away with it because she
Sure.
knows the signs to look for.
Absolutely.
Whereas the other way around, she can say, oh, no, I bought these shoes ages ago,
Yeah.
and of course he doesn't pick up on it. Now, that's obviously a generalisation.
Very much so.
However, it tends to be true generally across the board.
So me bringing a brand new Porsche home, I've had it for ages.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I can't get that through.
Had it round a mate's house,
That's
yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why she didn't believe that one.
Can't believe it.
So, yeah, there's those sorts of things. And learning basic body language is always a good thing
Yeah,
as
for
well.
sure.
And I remember years ago watching a chap by the name of Alan Pease.
Oh, damn you. I was just about to bring him up. There you go. You're
He's
onto it.
brilliant. I remember watching
Great.
him explaining all of these things. And it's funny because there's things in my past when I look back, I did them all without even thinking about it.
Okay.
Like years ago, if I went to speak to my boss or a supervisor or something like that,
Yep.
instead of standing next to their desk and talking to them, I used to squat down so that my head was below theirs, which is
Really?
you're above me. It's an
Yeah.
unconscious thing.
Yeah.
So I used to do this sort of thing without even thinking about it.
Right.
So, and then I didn't meet Alan Pease, but I was introduced to his work.
Sure.
And then when he was explaining all of these things, I was like, oh, my God. So things like that
Yeah.
can tell you a lot about people and how
Absolutely.
they're behaving.
Yeah.
Like politicians, we don't tend to believe them too much.
Well, yeah.
But they actually get coached in body language, so they use body language that appears truthful and trustworthy.
Sure. The open palms and that sort of thing.
You know it.
Yes,
You know it.
absolutely. You watch it, and the moment I see it, it's like, oh, here we go. Here we go. Yeah. It's like they're moving the shells right in front of me.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of little things. There
Mm-hmm.
was one study I read where there was two things that indicated whether or not your partner was engaged with you. And one was they asked you how your day was, but when they asked you, they actually looked at you. So
Big,
they're actually
big
showing
difference.
interest. So little things like that can make a big difference to the long term.
But you see this in everyday life, we're not even talking about intimate relationships. Like when someone shakes your hand and they're not looking at you when they shake your hand, it's like, you've just told me exactly what you think of me, and I know where this is going, right? Okay?
Exactly.
There's a lack of respect straight away. It's not hard to look at someone. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know you've already brought up the subject of maths and my wife loving it. But one of the things, I happen to hear it from the bedroom, so
Right.
you can't ignore it when the
No, you
volume's
can't.
up nice and loud so she can hear the arguments. But one of them was saying he went for the homestay, or she went for the homestay to where he lives,
Sure.
and the whole time he didn't kiss her or hold a hand or anything like that. And it's like, well, that's not much of a red flag, is it?
I was watching.
What?
Yes, I was. Because I'm a mathsaholic, right? Because it makes me feel better about my life. When I see how horrible those people are, I think, yeah, man, I'm winning. Okay? I don't feel so bad at relationships anymore. But yes, I would agree wholeheartedly. I think that he didn't show her the affection that she deserved, right? I mean, she can be a little high maintenance occasionally. I can see that. But ultimately, in the balance of things, a little kiss wouldn't kill him, right? And it's just a small gesture to make someone feel loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because a lot of people pick up on that, even if the partner doesn't. Like I remember a number of years ago, we were dropping off a lady that we knew,
Right.
and her husband was about to go out, and she sort of leaned in to get him to give her a kiss. But because we were there, you could see he was like, "Ooh."
Ooh, yeah.
So, and it's funny how we always feel uncomfortable with those
Yeah.
sorts of things, and we shouldn't be. So, yeah, there's lots of little red flags.
Look, I agree, but it also comes down to where you are in your life and what your comfort zone is and what you've seen in your past. Look, I remember when I was younger, my girlfriends at the time would want to hold hands walking down the street, and I just felt like Like I hated it. I hated it. I felt weak and pathetic.
So
right?
what age was this at?
Oh, in my 20s, I'd say. Or even
I thought you were about to say a year ago.
That is a year ago. Okay, go through, please go. No, I mean, I probably from my late teens to my probably even my mid 20s, whenever I was with a girlfriend or later a wife, I've had a couple of those. So I would find that I felt embarrassed. Right? I don't know why. It was just something I didn't do, and which is weird because my parents were very affectionate towards each other. They'd always a kiss, affection. They were openly affectionate. So yes, it's probably just a insecurity, I guess, in yourself, right? Whereas as I've gotten older, I'm walking down the street and I'm going I'm holding hands and like, check out my girl, right? Okay, it's different. I think I've become more comfortable in myself, and it was never about holding hands with the girl. It's a case of the fact of you feeling the way you do about you and your actual confidence of how you portray yourself to the world. Maybe.
Could be. And it's interesting because I'm the opposite.
Right.
So all my partners,
Yep.
I've tried holding hands. Some of them are comfortable with it occasionally. So
Sure.
it was very haphazard.
Gotcha.
So for me, any sort of intimacy starts with holding hands.
It does.
So I take every
Okay.
opportunity to hold my wife's hand, and thankfully she's happy to hold mine.
Right.
So I'm not sort of fighting it as, give me your hand. She quite happily
It's
offers it.
natural.
So it's nice. I always feel like I'm connected to her because of that.
Yeah. I agree.
And for me, that's one of my indicators of this will work because she's
Right.
comfortable with physical contact.
Gotcha.
And it could be, we're out to dinner and she just reaches over and puts her hand on my leg or something just to go, it's all good.
Yep.
So little things like that are nice signs that things are going to work.
Completely agree.
So red flags. Okay, now these are interesting.
They certainly are.
Because as I mentioned, we have the honeymoon period where we don't tend to notice them.
Yep.
And some red flags you can ignore,
Mm-hmm.
and then others you definitely don't want to ignore.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
if we're going to use maths as an example, okay.
Well, you're going to keep dragging it in, so we may as well.
The ones that give you the ick.
I might
right?
have to get the wife on to discuss
might
this
have
with
to,
you,
I
I
think.
think.
No, go on, mate. I'm sorry.
This is painful. No, come on, let's go.
Let's go. No. This ones that give you the ick.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm just referencing something from the show.
Yes.
Back onto it, my friend. Back on the straight and narrow. We can do this.
Okay, so one of the things I did now, I mentioned I came up with a system that helped me to find my wife.
Sure.
And one of the things in there you look at is obviously your red flags. So these are things that are absolutely essential that have to be not present in your relationship.
For sure.
Now, a lot of people, they'll sit there and say, well, this is my red flag or this is what I want. But the trouble is they don't define why.
Okay.
Because what I do with clients is
Yeah.
if you can't define why that's in there,
Yep.
it's obviously not a strong enough reason.
Now, what we need to do here is talk about why after this short break. You smooth operator, you. It's Edge Radio Australia. All about relationships. Oh, how romantic. It is Cheap Trick. We've had a couple of those. The Flame here on Edge Radio Australia. And we are doing all about relationships. Wayne, mate, you left us on a bit of a cliffhanger before the songs. Come on, hit me with it.
So it's a powerful question.
It
It's
is.
one that frustrates every parent.
Oh,
Kids love it. Why?
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 So the system that I created was basically trying to visualize your partner.
Okay.
All right. And
You
everyone,
can take a picture, It's easy.
you could.
Yeah,
It does
yeah.
save a bit of time. And a lot of people, it's very easy to say, I want them to be this height and this
Sure.
age and blah, blah, blah. That's the easy part. The harder part is what you need and why. So this can bring up your red flags. So
Sure.
I have a lot of people that say, I want my partner to have a sense of humour. Well, everyone's got a sense of humour.
Yeah.
It's just, does it fit you? Is it your sense of humour? And why do you want them to have that particular sense of humour?
So true.
Okay, so my wife, I found out in the very early days that she was a Faulty Towers fan.
Right. Okay.
So I thought if you're into Faulty Towers, you're definitely my sense of humour.
I like that.
So, yeah.
So you just did funny walks around the house all the time?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. Well, she never watched a lot of Monty Python, but she knew
come on,
Faulty
the
Towers.
crossover, yes.
No, you can't go wrong. But for me, that was a sign that she's got a similar sense of humour. And we do laugh a lot, and she loves stirring me, and thankfully it's never malicious, which is always a good thing.
Always.
And yeah, it's made a huge difference because I sat down and said, why do I want them to have this particular sense of humour?
Yeah.
Because if you like slapstick and you end up with a partner that's into black humour,
It's
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not going to find much common ground.
No.
So, and also people say, I want a partner that doesn't smoke.
Right.
It's like, yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
you don't want them to
That's
smoke.
an easy one, I guess.
But,
Black
you
and
know,
white.
they're into driving fast cars, or they're into, so what's not smoke? All right, so what do you want?
Sure.
You want someone who is health conscious. They
Sure.
care about their body.
Hang on. But I don't smoke, but I drive fast. So come on.
Yeah, hey, best of both worlds. But the thing is, if you can get to the core of it,
Yeah.
then you can understand why you need them to have those particular attributes
Completely
or
agree.
those particular mindsets or habits or whatever.
Okay.
So why is always a really good one.
Yeah. Well, like you made the joke about kids with the why. But honestly, isn't that the whole meaning of life? Like, honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, you've got to have a why. You've got to have a reason to be involved in anything, to live, you know, the people that you're passionate about. So I think why is probably one of the most powerful words in the English language.
Yep, and not used often enough.
Except from a 3-year-old.
Yes.
Yep.
In which case, way too much.
Very true.
Yeah, but that's what it's about. And
Okay.
what I realise is there's two things that everyone should always look for in a partner.
Okay.
And these are based off me looking back on my journey once I found my wife.
Sure.
And to a degree, I did get lucky.
Okay, well, that's always handy.
But as they say, luck is preparation meeting an opportunity.
It is.
So I'd prepared, I met her, which was the opportunity, and then it worked. So in that regard, I think it was Gary Player that first used
I think
that
you're
quote. It's been attributed to a few people, but I think it was Gary Player, the golfer. And so a degree of luck, but I had to know why she had to be a particular way.
Sure. And it's better to take advice from him than John Daly, I'm going to guess, right?
Well, depending on what sort of ending you're looking for. I mean, John's done all right for
Oh,
himself
he has, absolutely. He's lived hard. Yeah, and
and
fast.
still living hard.
Good on him. Lucky him. There
I
you
know.
go.
So, yeah, one of the big things we need to ask ourselves is, why do I need to be in a relationship?
Sure.
Why would I have that particular partner? Why would they need to be like this? You know, what would I be giving in? What would be my reason for being in the relationship?
Yep. Okay.
Because a lot of people, and we've all met them, the people where they'll finish a relationship with someone and a week later they've got someone new.
Oh, yeah. The revolving door little principle there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a case of, you know, why are you doing this?
Very
you know?
true. Very true.
And it's a hard one when you ask yourself, why do I do these particular things? Why
Well,
do I attract these people?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to think that, and I'm obviously generalising from my own experience, I think that, the old song, there's no aphrodisiac like loneliness,
Yes.
right? And the people who don't want to be lonely are so scared of being alone, they tend to bounce from one relationship to another, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a difference between being alone and lonely.
Yes. Very, very true.
Yeah. And if you're okay with being alone, you'll be okay in a relationship. But if you can't handle being alone and it becomes lonely, yeah, then you're in for troubles.
Yes, a bit needy.
Yes, yes. So for me, these two things that I've realised need to be pretty much in everyone's list of requirements for a partner is one, they've got to be interested in self-growth.
Okay.
Because if you're with someone and you're putting the effort in to become a better version of yourself, you know, you might be reading books or whatever, or
Sure.
you could be just thinking before you act so you become more conscious, whatever it is.
Yep.
If you're putting the effort in to become a better version of yourself and they're the same version of who they were 10 years ago, there's going to be a chasm that's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
No doubt about it. Yeah, the old growing apart thing there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And especially if you don't have enough things in common, because we had a discussion about this. You get the couples that have got too much in common.
Sure.
And you've got to have a certain amount of commonalities. You've also got to have a certain amount of friction or conflict or things where you don't agree.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And that's where you get challenged on what you believe about something, your opinion. So you've got to explain it and defend it or whatever.
Absolutely.
And then you've also got to listen to theirs and accept theirs.
Well, that's
So you
the
might,
tough bit.
Oh,
There we go,
yeah,
there
it's
we go.
always a tough one. So you might not agree with it,
Yep.
but that's who they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you said, if everyone was the same, we'd all be boring.
It would be very dull, wouldn't it be? And I think that, I don't know, conflict's probably the wrong word to use, but I think that if you don't have a certain, difference, a certain conflict with your partner, if it is just all rose all the time, my word, rose gardens, how dull would it be?
Yes.
I think that to grow as a person, you need to, look, probably butt heads is, again, not the right terminology, but you just need that little bit of...
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
Geez, that even sounded like it was from the song, that one.
May have stolen it, just saying.
I think so. Yeah, and the other one that I think's absolutely critical is they've got to be able to, excuse the language, everyone, got to be able to own their shit.
Yeah, so true.
So if they do something, they're willing to go, yep, I screwed up, I made a mistake, I'm willing to make penance for that or whatever it is.
Okay.
But the worst thing is when people are blaming you endlessly, because then it's just painful.
All right. Now, you've just gone into a topic of conversation that I want to ask a question on from a personal standpoint.
Ooh.
Well, what do you do when you're in a relationship? And I have been in the past, I'm not now, thankfully, but I was in a relationship for 9 years when the person absolutely, utterly wouldn't apologise. Like, in 9 years, apologised, and I actually know I counted it, which is frightening, 4 times in 9 years.
Wow.
Yes. And, you talk about red flags, whatever. I did not see that red flag. I had, the blinkers were on. I was so focused on other parts of our life and our family and teamwork and all of that and our beautiful children that I did not recognise the fact. And then I had a bit of a moment of emotional intelligence. Somebody actually asked me the question, said, look, about apologies and sort of thing. And I thought, because I actually was talking to someone who kept apologising. I was like, stop apologising. There's no need. If you're wrong, pull it out. No worries, use it. But, okay, so how do you deal with somebody and who's a bit of a sociopath, who is completely incapable of having that insight and doesn't realise that that they are in the wrong, or they cannot say that they're wrong. So, like in my case, what my ex-wife would do is she would do something unbelievably horrible to me, okay? Like, I'm not going to go into it, just something really horrible. But then she'd fix it by buying me a PlayStation 4. Okay, so go buy an expensive gift, right? Okay, and there'd be no sorry, or there'd be no acceptance of their responsibility, no personal responsibility, but they'd just go and buy an expensive gift, right? And I didn't want the stupid PlayStation or the other things, the other gifts or whatever they happen to be. Quite capable of, getting my own things that I need. I just wanted someone to say, hey, I'm sorry. I hurt you. Okay, now, so what? Yeah, it's a bit late for me on that one, but I think, okay, how do you react? What are tools that I can use that if I see those sorts of traits again, that I can act upon it? Or what could I have done differently?
Okay, so first of all, it's never too late.
Right.
Okay, because anything that gives you clarity around a situation in your past allows you to then let that go or make sense of it or get closure or whatever you want to do with it.
Sure.
So that you can move forward with more confidence, more ability and that sort of thing. So it's never too late. Okay. So anyone listening, it's never too late.
Never too late.
Never too late. Now, this is where it gets challenging. And I did a call about this very similar thing on Tuesday to a group. And it was around ghosting.
Right.
Which, for people that don't know, it's where you might be messaging someone. It could be a potential partner. It could be a business contact.
Absolutely.
It could be anything.
Yep.
And you're messaging them. It's all looking good. And then suddenly, tumbleweeds and crickets. It's like there's no response from them.
Yeah.
So this is in the same ballpark. Okay. The problem is that when we are first growing up and we're impressionable, we tend to not get taught how to deal with conflict or uncomfortable situations. So when we upset people, we go, oh, how am I going to deal with this? I can't deal with it. Oh, it's easier just to run away. Okay. Or buy a PlayStation. So that really means they have a complete lack of ability in order to deal with that, accept responsibility, accept it without shame or guilt.
Okay. Well,
which is always a
what
big
I
one.
saw, and again, this is in hindsight, right? Certainly didn't see it at the time. Was you look back and you go, oh my God, that person had a complete lack of empathy, no empathy at any point. It was kind of like a cyborg had been watching what humans do, and I have to learn. You know what I mean? How do I apologize? Because that's that's. Yeah. Oh, look, the other people are saying sorry, and in this case, she clearly did not have the ability to say sorry. So let's just kind of, I'll just fake what the other people are doing, and I'll go buy a gift. And as I say, it actually makes you, I can only speak for myself here, but you resent the gift. You don't want it, right? Every time you use the gift, you think, it's just, how do you deal with people who have no empathy in a relationship?
It's a very tricky one to deal with because the biggest part of any journey is the awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the old saying of an alcoholic, until they can admit that they're an alcoholic, they can't fix anything.
Gotcha.
And that's the hardest thing. And that's it's a really deep one we're going into.
Oh, sorry.
You might have to give me a second to think about this and give you the answer.
Shall I go to a song?
Sounds good.
Look at that. I'll give you some thinking music. Would you like to phone a friend? Oh, look, I'll tell you what. Now, we'll jump into a song here. Haven't heard this one for a while. The old Alison Moyet. It is This Love?
Love her voice.
Great. What a voice, right? 80s classic here. Edge Radio Australia, all about relationships. Edge Radio Australia, we are back and we are talking all about relationships here with Wayne. Wayne, mate, look, before the break, we did the Big Neighbours cliffhanger. We did.
We did.
We're back now because I asked you a bit of a curly one and we had to discuss. Now, actually, I'll just leave it with you because you're the man. You know what's going on here. How deep do we go?
Well, I went for a bit of a run down the rabbit hole in the break. And realised it is quite deep.
It is.
So rather than go deep with only minutes remaining and then leaving people with lots of cliffhangers.
Oh no, we got 16 minutes, mate. Talk away. Come on,
smash it out. I thought it's probably better just to give like an overview of it.
I think it's a good idea. Yep.
And then in another show we can sort of dig a little deeper into it because it is something that a lot of people struggle with, and I know you did, and I've had it.
Sure.
And I've had friends that go through it, and it is a really challenging thing. One thing I can give people as a form of consolation or something to ponder, and this is a hard one to accept.
Okay.
However, I've found it to be true.
Okay.
We attract into our lives the exact person we need for who we are at that moment in time.
Ooh.
I know. It's horrible.
I must have been a monster.
No, it's not a monster. You needed someone to really challenge you to step up and become that better version of you.
Yeah, okay.
So I know
Could be some truth to that.
Yeah. Well, I know that with my second wife because when I was with her, I felt that she was sort of insecure and jealous and manipulative and angry and all of these terms you could use.
Yep.
And then once I realised why I had attracted her into my life and got the lesson, she literally became the moment that my life literally turned 180 and she became the best thing to ever happen to me.
Isn't it funny? I don't know if I'd say the best thing, but I think that I could say that adversity makes you a better man.
If you step up. See, this is the thing. A lot of us get challenged. And like I said, we don't get taught how to do these things. And we were discussing this in the break. And it's one of the things where I get frustrated with society.
Absolutely.
Is we've slowly lost our empathy. We've slowly lost our caring. We've slowly lost our ability to look at others that are important to us as if they matter.
For sure.
And so all of these things we've slowly devolved and become less than what we were. And also with a lot of the do-gooders where, you can't run to a kid that's hurt anymore. You can't stop and help a woman. You can't open a door without offending them.
No.
So, and we've made life really difficult when it doesn't need to be.
Absolutely agree. Wholeheartedly.
Yeah, so because of this, we tend to be attracting more of these people because we need that lesson to step up into that greater version of ourselves.
Okay. I can see that. I mean, it certainly puts a fire under you, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And this is one of the things where I was explaining this in the call on Tuesday night, where when things happen to us, we tend to take it personally because we're ego-driven creatures.
Sure.
So we think, oh, we must have done something wrong, or we must deserve this, and we don't realise, no, it's just their stuff.
Their stuff.
We don't have to take on their stuff.
Oh, I like that.
So if you only deal with your stuff and you leave them to deal with their stuff, and like I said, if they're able to own their stuff, then they're willing to go, yeah, okay, I screwed up with that one. I'll go and work on that and become that better version of me so I can become the partner you deserve.
Fair enough. So we're just there to make them better people.
Yes. So if you flip it,
Yeah.
there'll be things about us that challenge them
Of
and push
course.
their
Of
buttons
course.
and give them an opportunity to grow. Now, whether they take that or not is completely up to them because
For
it's
sure.
their journey.
Well, that's right. And I think, look, ultimately, sort of going back on something we were talking about before, I mean, you've got to be happy in yourself. You can't just be, the whole... somebody who comes into your life should compliment you. They don't need to complete you as such, in my eyes, anyway.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that if they compliment you and they make you a better person, and you make a team together, that's a fantastic thing. I don't think that if you've got something missing in your life, I don't think you should be looking for it in another person just to sort of blue tack in.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's where I come across this regularly with people saying, I need a partner to complete me or make me whole and be my better half. And I don't like that term. They're not a half. They're whole with themselves and you're whole with yourself, and it's up to you to do that.
You just, you complete me. All I can see is Austin Powers.
There's always a reference in just about everything, isn't there?
It really is. It really is.
Yeah, so that's one of the big things. If you can own your own stuff and
Sure.
you can find someone that's willing to own their stuff,
Yep.
your growth both as individuals and together as a couple will be a lot more rapid
Okay.
and a lot more effective.
All right. Okay. I like that. That's good advice, mate. Good advice. Now, all right, we've dealt with the nasty narcs.
Yeah, we'll come back to them on another show.
We'll circle back.
Yep.
What other tips can you give us tonight that we can, or situations that might be useful to our listeners?
Ooh. It's put me on the spot a little bit.
I do
there.
that. I do
Nice,
that. Yeah.
nice. I like being challenged. A good tip. This would be, if someone asked me to summarise what I do in regard to relationships
Sure.
with people, it is this. Know that a relationship is only ever about you. It's never about the other person. Okay?
Wow.
No,
Okay,
it's
that's a
never
biggie.
about the other person. But if you can do that,
Yeah.
relationships become a lot easier.
You reckon?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And dating is all about finding the right person so that you can become that better version of yourself and work on yourself.
Okay. So it's all. So basically, you're finding someone who's a walking, talking self-help group.
Yes, they are everything in that regard.
I know.
So they're people that when they push your buttons, it's for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So, they're not just being nasty. They're challenging you to become that better version of yourself by facing those things that are uncomfortable but necessary.
Oh, look, no matter what, sometimes your partner will put something to you that irritates you,
Absolutely.
grates you, or whatever. But deep down, as much as I hate to admit it,
Yes.
it's exactly what you need.
I knew where you were going.
needed to be
Absolutely.
fired. You need to
Absolutely.
be fired in the belly, right? You
Yep.
need to do, because I can't remember the exact words to it, but I mean, it's kind of like, there's no need to tell a man over and over. I mean, he'll get it done in 6 months or so, right? Okay?
Exactly.
Or something of that ilk. I can't remember the exact words, but no one likes to be nagged about it. But at the same time, sometimes you just need a little prompting. You do, right? And
There's a difference between prompting and nagging there.
it was a very big difference. Very big difference. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very good advice. Nagging tends to, and this comes from, both sides of the fence, whether it be the male, female, male, whatever, anyone in the relationship, is nagging is never good.
No.
Just a little suggestion's okay.
Yeah, well, it's like if you're trying to lose weight and someone says to you, you can't eat such and such.
Oh.
First of all,
Yep.
that's the thing you want most.
Exactly.
So if you're nagging someone, their heels dig in. They go, I'm not doing it because you're nagging me.
Damn
but
right.
if you ask nicely and the right amount of times, et cetera, then they're far more likely to do it.
I like that. That's true.
And this is one thing that'll help people with nagging. If you're nagging someone about something that's important to you, you're assuming that it's important to them.
Oh, good point.
And if it's at number 37 on their list, they're not going to get to it quickly.
No.
So what you do is, instead of nagging, just say, look, I know you've got other things on your mind. This is important to me. Would you mind squeezing this in at some point?
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've done that with my wife, and every now and then she'll walk past and go, you said you'd do, and I go, oh, shit, I did too. And then off I go and do it. And she's very good at that, so there's no nagging, which is wonderful.
That is a wonderful thing, yes. I should mention that she's in the studio right now. Jeez. Right now, it's like, I almost feel like written, spoken and authorised by the Australian, the political
Just
statement.
about,
at the end.
just
Absolutely. Well done, mate. Look, I think that this show is great. I think that we're giving great advice. Well, I'm receiving great advice.
I was just going to say.
Yeah. I think that I can't wait, because obviously in the coming weeks we're going to actually open the phones. We're getting messages in, which is great, and we'll be answering questions and going through your individual thing and giving you some tools to improve your life and your relationships. It's very cool.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Very cool. All right, now earlier, I think it's time that we'll get sort of finished on the show very, very soon. Again, a couple of little things though I want to just promote. I want you to again give you a little where we can find you on social media and business wise.
Yep. So easiest one is type in Wayne Brown Life Back on Track.
Yep.
That'll pop up on Facebook, Instagram, and I've got a few other groups and things like that. So you can find me in there.
Absolutely brilliant. Look, we've actually been approached by someone else who has a dating agency that is right now, looking for, get this, looking for women. Got too many blokes on the old books.
Wow, it's usually the other way.
Is that right?
Yeah,
there we
absolutely,
go.
absolutely.
So yeah, what I'll do is we'll have a chat afterwards, and we might be able to hook you up and help everybody out. Because ultimately, look, Edge wants to be there as grassroots. We want to help people, right? Okay?
Absolutely.
And bringing people together, and if we can get a couple of love affairs going, we'll be very happy indeed. Something you said earlier, though, it's stuck in my mind, mate. And as a guy who lives by his ego, I'm sorry, it's not a dirty word, and I'm going to have to play it. It's going to have to happen. It's Edge Radio Australia, all about relationships. Oh, Edge Radio Australia, love that song. Got to tell you, ooh, it just echoed away, isn't that? Well, that's a bit cool. I like that. We are doing all about relationships. Now, Wayne, we've actually got some messages coming through, and we've been a bit slack here. I haven't been reading it, so, sorry about that. But we've got one through. I'd love for you to answer that one.
Yeah, so this lady, Tina, was asking me to go a little further into the power struggle that we went with last week.
Gotcha. Yep.
And she was asking me about the 3 after it, about how long they take and everything, because I said the honeymoon period is 2 months to 2 years.
Sure.
Then the power struggle could last indefinitely.
Yep.
And she was asking, well, how long do the others last? And the thing is, if you're doing everything right, stage 3 and 4, so the stability stage and the commitment stage, are going to be relatively quick.
Okay.
And then the co-creation stage basically lasts the rest of the relationship.
Gotcha.
Now, the interesting thing I've probably forgot to mention is you can drop back into the power struggle.
Oh.
But you can also take it back to the honeymoon period. So it becomes flexible. So it's not
Okay.
just a linear thing.
Right. So once it's over, you can't. There's no backing out here. We're stuck on the freeway.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
There is an off ramp. Okay. Right. We can spin around. We can go back. I like that.
That's
All right.
it. And a lot of people think that, once you find the right person, you have this wonderful relationship.
Yep.
No, you can get 5 years down the track, 10 years down the track and hit the wall.
Sure.
And it's how you've built up that connection and the intimacy and the ability to be honest and open and everything like that. Then you can go back and deal with things far more effectively because you've got that experience.
Of course. I like that. Okay. So we can jump back and forward between these little stages.
Yes.
But ultimately, we're looking. The end goal is obviously happiness, bliss, and what did you call it? What was the stage called? The creation.
Co-creation.
Co-creation. Jeez.
Yeah. So
Sounds
it's
very
basically
biblical. Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah, I know. But it's basically where you acknowledge that you're a team, you're working together to create this wonderful thing called a relationship.
Very, very nice indeed, mate. All right, now We're going to end the show, but I do need you again to plug where, because I asked you before, but we do get people who send all messages through, and obviously you can get us through edgeradioaustralia.com, go through the contact page and put your questions through there. Or if if you want to, there's so many other methods with all the different social medias. So where again can we find you?
Well, the easiest way is just to go to my website, so www.life-on-track.com.
Easy as that, right? And with that, we will see you next week for...
all about relationships.
He threw into radio voice. You saw that. I heard that.
No, I
That's
didn't.
fun.
No, I didn't.
It's Edge Radio Australia. We'll see you next week.